Okay, now that we've determined how much we need to pay each employee and their total earnings from completing the exercise prior and calculating what each employee earns and putting in the formulas, should have done this and should have done this as well. Next step is determining how much taxes we need to withhold from each employee. And what payroll taxes are taxes based on the payroll. Let me get this a little bigger. Payroll taxes are based on the payroll of every business. And remember, payroll is the sum of everything that you pay your employees. Businesses are required to withhold federal and state taxes from employee salaries. So we are the ones, as business owners, we're the ones that withhold the federal taxes, and then in turn we periodically pay the federal government, and also state taxes. We every pay period we withhold, no matter what, federal and state taxes, and then again periodically we're the ones that have to pay the government. A W-4, and what we're going to talk about with a W-4, and if you've ever had a job, you filled out a W-4, and this is to tell the federal government the withholding allowance, and it's a deduction each employee claims to withhold depending on their marital status, whether they're single or married, and how many children or deductions they're going to claim on their taxes. And then at the end of the year, after all the withholdings from your checks, then you know, right now we're in a tax period, so April 15th is when your taxes are due. Well, maybe you overpaid your federal taxes. If you underpaid, you owe more taxes. So the more deductions that you have, the less they're going to take out in your federal and state taxes. However, if you don't get it right, you could end up owing the government. So this is what a W-4 looks like. It's really simple. It's actually a page long, and there's some other deductions and some formulas up at the top. But a very simple W-4 is going to look something like this: first, last name, social security number, their home address, if they're claiming single or married. And you can even choose married, but I want to be withheld at the single rate. Your zip code, city, state. The total number of allowances. So this person is probably claiming, Rick is probably claiming himself, his wife, since he's married, and also probably 2 children. And you're going to see why this is important. You being single, not married, with no kids, sort of say, you're going to either have 0 or 1 in this box right here. If you have 0, that means they're going to take out more from your check, and most likely you're going to get money at the beginning of the following year. You need to sign it and date it. So this is what a W-4 form looks like. You cannot have a legitimate job without and get paid without having a W-4 on file with the employee, or I'm sorry, with the employer. So this goes out kind of how to fill this out. Again, probably most of you have had jobs before, and if not, you'll probably have one soon and fill one of those out. You'll know what I'm talking about. So this is the federal tax withholding for someone that's single, and this is the wages, so their salary or their total earnings. If we look at their total earnings, if they made $1,000, at least 1,000, but not more than 1,020, and again, if they're single, most likely it's going to be 0 or 1, but this is going to tell you the amount of federal taxes to withhold. Now this is an old table, and this one is for married people, and it's a little smaller, and you're going to see this on a website and be able to determine how much income tax to take out. Again, up at the top is the exemptions that they claimed on the W-4, and this is their total earnings in between this, and then you go across the graph. So again, just kind of showing you between 1120 and 1140 with 4 exemptions. For Rick, this is the amount of federal tax we need to withhold. And I know you can't see this, but it says $63. The other deductions that are a must are, 1, your Social Security tax, which you pay in when you retire. you get to draw from the Social Security tax. So you're paying in kind of part of your insurance or your retirement. You have your total earnings times the Social Security rate to get the deduction. So if Rick made total earnings of 1137, the Social Security tax rate, it's pretty hard to say that fast 5 times, is 6.5%. So we times this by 6.5, and this is our total deduction. We also have Medicare, which is when you retire, your health insurance, and you're paying for that now when you have a job. And for this chapter, again, 1137 total earnings, we're not going off of what we've already deducted, times their tax rate of 1.5% for Medicare, your health insurance from when you retire. So here's your deduction for that. So we have your federal, your state, Social Security, Medicare, automatically deducted. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We're going to open up our file for this chapter, and let's go ahead and click on 13.2, payroll tax withholding. Now, part A. First of all, you're gonna see this website a couple of times, and let me go through this real quick. Actually, I'm gonna wait on this link here, on what we need to do with this federal withholding. We're not calculating state. Every state is different. Michigan is 6.5% state tax. Other states are 8.5%. Illinois, I believe, is like 8%. So every state is different. So for this chapter, we're not going to worry about state tax. We're only going to worry about federal tax, Social Security tax, which I put this amount in there for you, and Medicare tax. Here's their total earnings, which we got from their time card. If I go back up to the one that I did, right here, here's their total earnings. So that's an important number. So now we take their deductions off, and then we're going to write them their check. So let's go back to this. You see their marital status, which is important to know. Let's start over here. You have your employee number. Obviously, we have employees in there, our 2579. We should have some other employees in there as well. Their name, their marital status, S equals single, M is married, the number of withholding allowances that they claimed on their W-4. Again, if you're single, most likely it's 0 or 1. You notice this person is single but has 2. Maybe they have a child or 2 children. Here's their total earnings. Now here's how we're going to do this. We need to figure out their federal tax withholding, and that's where this website is going to come into play. So we need to click on this website. If this pops up, go ahead and open the file. It's trustworthy. It's a .gov. Now this loads up the tax guide for employers, which is us, and this is for 2014. Now we actually want to scroll all the way down. This gives you all the information on how to do it and blah blah blah. If you owned a business, you would definitely want to read all of this. There's a lot that goes along with it, but we want to go down all the way to the table. And this is on page, here we go. Scroll back up here. Here we go. So single person weekly payroll period. I'm on page 44 of this, 45 of this document. Here's their total earnings. So let's go back. Let's take a look at Lola Marquez. She's single. We're in the right table. She has 1 withholding that she's claiming, 1 dependent, $925. So we actually need to go to our table, look for $925 right here. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So she's between 920 and 930. So right here. And I forgot already. 1 withholding. This would be 0 withholdings. This would be 1. So for 925 with 1 withholding, 920 to 9 for the 1 withholding, it's going to be $122. 1 withholding, $122. This right here. So we're going to put, sorry, that's not even close to being right. $122. That's a lot out of your paycheck. 122, notice that it's not formatted, so let's go ahead and format all of these cells to accounting, $122. Now, we can't put a formula in this because we're going to have to look it up every single time, depending on how much they make. If you have a more complicated spreadsheet, then you would be able to do that automatically. Social Security tax, we're going to times equals our total earnings times 6.5%. So we're going to put 0.065. $60. Medicare equals our total earnings times 0.015, which is 1.5%, $13.88. So you can see quite a bit, almost $200 is withheld from your total earnings just based on federal Social Security and Medicare. If you've worked, you've noticed this. So let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's go ahead and run this formula down for Social Security tax. Let's run this formula down for Medicare tax. However, we have to go look these up. So John Norris is married with 4 allowances at $12.50. We have to go to the married. Here's married. We're looking for $12.50. $12.50. So he's right on the border. So we're going to use this tax rate. Now he had 4, so there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. $99. Again, that's right here. $12.50 for withholding for anyone that's married. Amount was $99. So we're going to put $99 in here. $1,000 single with 2. 1,000 single 2. Go to our table, go back up to single. There's married, single. 1,000. Here's 0 exemptions, 1 and 2. So $120. Again, 2 exemptions, single. 120. $120 there. And you can kind of see it. You know, this John made more than James, $12.50 to $1,000, but yet his taxes are more, and that's because he has less deductions and he's single. So there's a benefit to being married with children. Don't do it yet. Finally, married 0, $10.50. So we have to go down to the married table. Here's 0. He's at $10.50, and here's $10.50. So $115 we need to enter in. That's it. Those are each person's deductions from their paycheck. We're going to learn next how much we're actually going to pay them. In Part B, though, here's where I want you to do it. You're going to follow the same exact way of how I did it up here, but I want you to do it down here, and I want these formulas put in here, and I want the correct formulas put in here. And make sure that our tax withholdings are coming from the current federal forms for 2014. And again, it tells you right here, 2014 Employers Tax Guide. So that's it. Should be able to get that done pretty quick.